Hey, language arts parents, coming at you with a little intro and preview into language arts in eighth grade. Just some brief information. I'm going to kind of fly through some things here, so please let me know if you have any questions or need me to elaborate on any of these points. First thing I'll say is that I do send out a weekly video on Fridays or sometime over the weekend that has some information similar to what you're seeing here. So if you do need me to elaborate, or if you have any questions about things that have already happened, feel free to go back and see some of those videos that should have been in your email. If you haven't been getting those, let me know, and I'll work on getting them to you for the future. So to start off here, something to mention about my grading policy is that I do abide by the language we use at the school as closely as I can, and that includes that a B is proficient. So if they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, they get a B. If they get a C, that means they are approaching proficiency. Throughout most units, I expect most students to be approaching proficiency. That's why I'm teaching it to them. They probably aren't going to be proficient. I don't expect them to be. And if they are, if everybody was proficient, then we wouldn't teach that unit. And we get that data at the beginning of the unit to know what we need to teach moving forward. So you should expect to see at some point that students are approaching proficiency, meaning that they are getting Cs. Now, sometimes it is a behavior-related thing. If you see that they are continuing to get grades like that throughout the unit and throughout the trimester, it likely is tied to behavior. But we do have to make sure that we understand that it means approaching proficiency and not that they're just doing a bad job. My late policy is that students have a week to turn in an assignment from the due date, a week from the due date to turn in something. It's just too much confusion for me to be tracking down 1,000 different assignments from 1,000 different kids. So I make sure that they are turning it in no later than a week after. Even that I consider to be pretty generous. So please ensure that students are keeping up with their homework. We just finished a memoir unit where students wrote about themselves and the experiences they've had that have really shaped them. It was an awesome unit, and I think kids grew as writers and hopefully as people as they've learned more about themselves. We're now in a literary nonfiction unit. It's one of my favorite things to teach, and that is because, first of all, I just love reading literary nonfiction. Essentially, it's true stories, things that have happened in the past, told through narrative means. And so these are novels oftentimes, but they're based on true events, and they're not always based on the most important or prominent people in history. It's oftentimes the untold stories, the stories that are the most deep and rich, that have the most emotion and just that are probably the most relatable to us. It's not just a biography of George Washington. It's somebody who played a more minor role, but a really powerful role in those historical events. So definitely a good unit. Hopefully kids will be able to see themselves in that content. A little bit about independent reading. I do always expect that students have an independent reading book with them. We read in class nearly every day. We use Goodreads.com as a way to track their reading and to set goals for themselves. So you can ask them to see their Goodreads account. I've asked that they all add me on there as well so that I can be tracking with what they're reading. They can track with what I'm reading. It's a great way to kind of have a real world feel of what it's like to be a reader in today's social media society. It is a vetted and good website. I don't have any concerns with it, but please let me know if you do. We also have a chain going in the classroom of construction paper strips. Every time a student starts a book, they write their name and the title of the book on the construction paper strip. And when they finish, it becomes part of our chain. Right now, it's about 15, 20 feet long. And so good progress, good start. We hope to make it stretch around the classroom. So it's a good visible way to see what they're producing. We use Lexia as a tool to develop our reading comprehension, word choice, and grammar skills, some of those things that we struggle to get to because of time concerns in class. And so with Lexia, they're able to complete these tasks at home. They have a certain assigned number of minutes working towards goals throughout the year. Some of them may test out early this school year, but it is something that I want them reaching every week. And so it turns into a homework grade, which gets added to the grade book eventually if they're accomplishing their minutes, but it's not something that I grade independently. As far as classroom procedures and expectations go, I have two rules. That is, be kind and work hard. And I say that those things really bleed into everything that we do here. And so you can ask your kids more about that, what that looks like in the classroom. But they've done a good job so far of abiding by those two rules. And then as far as COVID procedures go, we do need to make sure that they are staying spaced out. I fortunately have one of the larger classrooms in the building, so that's not too big of an issue for me. But I do also make sure that they sanitize when they're leaving my classroom, hoping that they had sanitized when they left their previous classroom. The last couple things are Google Classroom, PowerSchool, weekly emails and videos. So I do use Google Classroom. I keep it up to date pretty well with assignments. It's a great resource if students miss school or if they forgot to do an assignment. They can go back and see what was due at that time. PowerSchool I try to keep updated as well. If you have any questions or confusions about how I use it compared to another teacher, please let me know. But typically a check mark means they've finished something. If there's a grade, that means they obviously turned it in and received a grade on it. Sometimes I will mark things as missing or late. That means that a student wasn't there or they didn't get something turned in on time. But I do try to keep it up to date because I know if it's not up to date, then it's confusing for you at home. And that's who I am most concerned about using it. Our weekly emails, like I said, I send those out every Friday or try to every Friday with some content about what happened in class that week and a preview of the upcoming week. So I think those have been pretty useful so far. If you need information in a different format, then please let me know. And yeah, that's everything. So hopefully this was helpful to you. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. If you need me to reiterate anything or elaborate on something, I'd be glad to. Just feel free to shoot me an email or schedule time to come and talk to me. It's been a great start to the year. Students have worked hard, and I'm excited to see what they produce throughout the rest of the year.